Now, just to look, I think that we had two extraordinary periods of scholarship that are unparalleled in the Muslim world. And they are the first period, which is the period of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the greatest teacher who ever lived. إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ مُعَلِّمًا. I was sent a teacher, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah will not choose for His Prophet other than the best of professions. Profess, to teach. That's what a profession is. It's to teach, profess, to profess what you believe. The first period was the time of the Prophet ﷺ. In a book by Ibn Hajar, who lived in the 15th century by Christian dating, which is called Al-Isaba fi Tamyiz al-Sahaba, accurately measuring the companions. He says that out of 12,043 persons, notables amongst the Sahaba, that he gives us a biography of in order that we can know who these people around the Prophet were, who were the human beings that our Prophet produced for the world. Out of those 1,243, 1,551 were women. 1,551. Mentioned in the book. We're not talking about the women at home that we don't know about. We're talking about the women that were known. All of the Sahabiyat were great. But because of the nature of Islamic modesty, there are many names that we will never know, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. Now, what happens then in the second period? The second group consists of a period in the 13th and 14th century. There's a book written by Ibn Hajar in which 1,300 women are mentioned in his book that consists, that he wrote. 1,300 women of the ulama of his age, alimat. Ibn Hajar has Imam al-Sakhawi, out of 11,691 scholars that he considered to be the greatest scholars of his age, not looking at their sex, not looking at their male or their female qualities. He's talking about who the greatest scholars of his time was. Out of 11,691, 1,075 are women. 1,075. I want to, tonight, to remember one woman. Her name's Hani. And she lived between 1376 and 1466. She was born in Cairo on Friday in the mid of Sha'ban. It's a blessed time, and that's the time we're in now. She was born mid-Sha'ban in 778, and she died in Cairo on the day of Saturday, the 30th Safar, 871. Imam al-Sakhawi says, Hani, also known as Maryam, the Cairoene, the Shafi'ite, the daughter of Nuruddin Abul Hassan Ali, the son of the Judge Abdurrahman ibn Abdul Malik. On her mother's side, she was the granddaughter of Judge Muhammad ibn Muhammad al-Qayati. She was born in Cairo on Friday night in the middle of the month of Sha'ban. Her maternal grandfather, Judge al-Qayati, took care of her upbringing. In 785, he took her to audit hadith in Mecca directly from 4 masters. He mentions the names. In Cairo, she studied with her grandfather himself and many other masters, 6 names given. She obtained certificates of audition from a large number of important masters. 13 names are given. She married Muhammad ibn Umar ibn Qutlubugha al-Baktamuri and had the following children by him: Shuja'uddin Muhammad al-Shafi'i, Sayfuddin Muhammad al-Hanafi, Fatima Yunus al-Maliki, Mansur al-Hanbali. Her son studied and followed the schools of law by which they became known. This is Hani. Her son, Mansur al-Hanbali, was brilliant, but he died young, and it was said that his intelligence killed him. After her first husband died, she married Hassan ibn Suwayd al-Maliki and had her children Ahmed and Aziza by him. When her grandfather, Judge al-Qayati, died, her husband put his hand on her inheritance and used it freely, but then he died and she inherited all of it. With the money, she bought the great workshop famous for its enormous size and many spinning wheels. So here's a scholar who's buying a factory, a woman in Cairo who's a scholar, the mother of scholars, who's buying a factory. She's a working woman buying a factory, known as Insha al-Akram near Birkat al-Fil. Maybe some of the Egyptians here even know where that is. One of the descendants of the original owner challenged the legality of the sale in court, but the Hanbali judge, Nasrullah, ruled that the sale was legal and confirmed her ownership of the workshop. So here's a male who's saying, this is my shop, goes before a judge, and the judge rules for Hani. She taught hadith for a long time, and many eminent scholars heard it from her. Personally, everything I have learned from her teachers, I learned through her. Yet I believe that she knew much more than I was able to learn. I mean, this Imam Sakhawi, this is not a simple person. We're talking about a great scholar. So this is letting you know, he's letting you know by that statement who Hani is. Her grandfather had presumably taught her the rest of the 6 books of hadith. And Imam Nashawiri's version of Sahih al-Bukhari, she was a good woman who used to weep profusely. When the names of Allah and His Prophet were mentioned, she would weep. She was consistent in her fasting and night prayers, firm in her religion, and especially concerned with ritual purity, which is an important point here. She was especially concerned with ritual purity. She wrote well, and she was a natural poet, able to make up verse spontaneously. As a young woman, she had memorized the Quran and Abu Shuja''s Mukhtasar, the abridgment of Shafi'i jurisprudence, and the Mulha of Imam al-Hariri in Arabic grammar, as well as other works. I heard her recite beautifully Surah As-Saff. She performed the pilgrimage 13 times, often staying for months to study and teach in Mecca and Medina. As she grew older, she lost her eyesight, but she was patient. Then she lost the use of her legs and became housebound. Her Hanafi son looked after her until she died on Saturday while I was in Mecca. She was buried in the burial grounds of her grandfather near the mausoleum of our Imam al-Shafi'i in Qarafa. May Allah have mercy on her and on us. Hani. Now, just to look at what's being said here. She was one of Sakhawi's esteemed teachers of hadith. Her involvement in the marketplace as an owner of a textile workshop, and her close relationship to the son who took care of her in her long and difficult old age. The extreme mobility of the ulama comes across in her 13 pilgrimages to Mecca and Medina. In the 14th and 15th centuries, women figured prominently among the teachers of famous male scholars. Ibn Hajar himself, when he went to Damascus, he only had 4 scholars of hadith. They were all women. These aren't made up things. I mean, this is our heritage. Hani was only one of 68 women experts on whose authority Imam Sakhawi recites his own transmission of hadith. She's only one of 68. We could read other ones of amazing women. One of 68 from one scholar, an Egyptian scholar. Ibn Hajar named 53 women amongst his direct authorities. 53 women amongst Ibn Hajar's direct authorities, one of the greatest ulama that this ummah has ever produced, and 53 of his teachers are women. I mean, what's going on, folks? What's going on here? Think about this, really. Think about this. Now, here, this is important. This renaissance of women's religious learning coincided with a new assertive promotion by the ulama of Sham and the ulama of Egypt, of Aisha, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. There was a renaissance of Aisha's position during this same time. This is an important connection. Because if you don't know who you were, if you don't know who you were in the past, you can do nothing in the future. The women were suddenly exposed to the greatness of Aisha as an alima, as a scholar, and this created a desire. And that's the only reason I'm mentioning Hani. She was the wife of the Prophet, the daughter of the first Caliph, sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa radiyallahu anhu, as the most foremost female source of hadith. She relates over 2,000 hadiths. An unrivaled source of hadith concerning women. In particular, she was an acknowledged expert on ritual purity. And we can directly relate this to Hani's own concern about the books of ritual purity. Now, the sad thing about all this is the unique importance of Imam Sakhawi's dictionary becomes clear when we recognize that for reasons which we do not understand, women practically disappear from the centennial biography dictionaries that followed him. They disappear. Where'd they go? Where did they go? Al-Ghazi, who died in 1651, Christian, who wrote about the 16th century, included only 12 women amongst his 1,647 entries. Al-Muhibbi, who died in 1699, Christian, included none in his dictionary of 1,289 biographies of his century. Al-Muradi, who died in 1791, found a place for only one woman among 753 18th century notables, and the biographer of the 19th century, Al-Baytar, found room for only 2 women out of 777 persons. 2 women. Now I think, because you can see that the 13th century, anybody that studies Islam recognizes the 13th century is the point when it all starts to descend. Because if we don't have women, we don't have men. This is as simple as that. If we don't have women, we don't have men. If we're not educating our women, then certainly our men aren't going to be educated. And one of the unique aspects of this age is that the men seem to be equally as ignorant as the women. And I think there's a direct correlation. Now, whatever happened 1,400 years ago, that we're living and tasting the fruits of it to this day. The joy that we have in our lives, because I have no joy in my life other than the joy of Islam. Because I knew life before Islam and I knew what it was like. And I think Sidi Abdullah will agree with me. The joy that we have in our lives is the fruit of the labor of those who went before us. It's the fruit of their labor. We're eating the fruit of their labor. What fruit are those who come after us going to eat from? What fruit of those who come after us are going to eat from? Because we're eating the fruits of those who went before us. One of the scholars said, تصدر للتدريس كل مهوس بليد يسمى بالفقيه المدرس فحق لأهل العلم أن يتمثلوا ببيت قديم شاع في كل مجلس لقد بدا هزلت حتى بدا من هزالها كلاها وحتى أبسامها كل مفلس. People are teaching now, idiots being called the great teacher, the great instructor. So the people of knowledge of this age have every right to use a piece of poetry that was mentioned often in the olden times. This old hag is so worn out that even its kidneys are showing, which means the camel. Even the kidney, it's so worn out that even the kidneys are showing, and every impoverished one has surpassed it. What he's saying is that knowledge is gone. Now there's a beautiful hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says, you will remain in good condition as long as you don't la tatasawu, you don't equalize. Equalization is the characteristic of the age we're living in. Everybody's the same. If you go to the masjid, you don't see notables. We don't see notables in our masjid anymore. We see this kind of flat state of affairs. Where are the lights that are going to illuminate the people? Where are those who have spent their early youth in the acquisition of knowledge so that they can guide this ummah? And I'm going to tell this, a young man who was a graduate from one of the top universities in this country, he wanted to go to Mauritania to study fiqh. And Jazahullah khairan, his father and his mother gave him permission because they're honorable people. But she curses me because she thinks I'm the cause that he's not going to medical school. We can't give one person for this ummah. Our mothers can't give one son for this ummah. How many doctors do we have? How many engineers do we have? Who's going to learn this deen to give it to the people that come after? We have ulama dying all over the place. Muhammad al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, he just died. Who's going to take his place? The Pakistani scholar Khurram Murad, rahimahullah, rahmatullah alayh, he just died. I was with him not that long ago, and he was asking me he had pain and physical pain in his heart while I was sitting with him, and I said, Subhanallah, are you all right? He said, MashaAllah, MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. How are the brothers in California? How's the Islam? How's the Islam? Is there izdiyat? Is there increase? What are you doing? What are your activities? Really? Well, who's going to replace them? We have to ask this question. Our educational system which provided for them has been dismantled. And we know what Al-Azhar was and what it's become. We know there's no more Qarawiyin. And there's an attempt now at reviving, and inshallah Allah give them success. There's no more Zaytuna. Zaytuna that Ibn Arafah, one of the greatest imams, taught at. There's no more Zaytuna, it's gone. Where are the ma'ahid? Where are the madaris? Where are the katatib? Where are they? Why are we so obsessed with dunya? We need fuqaha, we don't need doctors that bad. I haven't been to a doctor in 10 years. I need a faqih. I talk to my sheikh on the phone. I need a faqih every day. People ask me questions, and I'm like that poetry I just recited to you. People ask me questions every day. They don't ask their doctors questions every day. People call me every day. What do I do in this situation? Somebody just died. How much? We've got such and such situation. How do we divide the inheritance? I'm going on Hajj and I have debts. What do I do? I did this in my prayer. Is it invalid or what do I do? I left the prayer for 10 years and now I've come back. Do I have to do it? Do I not have to do it? This is everyday life because this is about worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And either we have people that can guide us or we don't. And the chaos, the anarchy, what I would call ideological tribalism that exists in this ummah now. Ideological tribalism. We used to have tribalism based on blood. Now we have tribalism based on ideology. Tribes. We've got tribes going around with names, and they call everybody else kafir or bal or bid'i. I mean, somebody was handing out, Sidi Abdullah, we know this story, man. Somebody was handing out manshurat in London. It's amazing. I don't have time to handing out Imam Hamza Yusuf is bal, bid'i. Handing out at the masjid. Barakallah fik, I need hasanat. I don't have a problem with it. I feel sorry for him. I'm not worried about me. That gives me encouragement. More hasanat in the bank account. But get a life, like they say in California, man. Get a life. You know, I mean, if attacking me